I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. This is the greatest thrill of my life. I'm king of the world. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Hey guys, how's it going? MasterBucks here. Welcome to which I'm done to, by the way. I simply refuse to call this video the update to my updated World Cup prediction. Please, I have a little bit of integrity. I'm not going to completely beat this horse dead. But it is time to recap the World Cup semi-finals, of course. We'll go through my predictions, unfortunately. So, obviously, as you know, I am the prediction god. Thing is, though, I'll be totally honest. I did get all my picks for the semi-finals correct. Thing is, I made a bit of a mistake. You see, this is a bit embarrassing. There was a bit of a mix-up in my semi-finals video. I was making predictions, but not for who'd make the final, but for who'd make the playoff final. I forgot to mention it, and it's kind of embarrassing. You see, I said that Belgium would make the final over France, and that England would make the final over Croatia. But again, I forgot to mention that it was the playoff. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. All I'm saying is, don't worry, I'm still the prediction god. I just had a little Steve Harvey moment, you know? I just forgot to... Okay, let's just come clean. I totally bottled it. I completely butchered it. I have absolutely botched my semi-final predictions horribly. I said that Belgium would beat France in again, bit of an ambitious pick, but not really that ambitious. It's hardly like saying that Croatia was going to beat England. I still think that is a far bigger upset than Belgium if they did end up going on to beat France. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I backed the wrong horse on this one. I didn't really have the balls to say that Croatia was going to beat England because I genuinely did think that this was England's time. If it was ever going to happen for them, it was going to be now. So of course I would end up going with England. And when Kieran Trippier scored that goal in the first minute or first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, here we go. They're going to push on to see this. But we'll talk about them in a second because don't worry, I've got a massive England rant coming up very soon. But in what was definitely a nervy, but at the same time, somewhat timid affair, like it didn't end up really breaking out and blowing up into this crazy, amazing game of football, that Belgium-France game. But in the end, France just did enough and they just got it done. Samuel Umtiti scoring like his first competitive goal for France, and it's in a World Cup semi-final. Holy hell, how about that timing? France now absolutely become the favourites to go on and win the whole thing. And of course, like I said, prediction god. In my first and actual World Cup prediction, I did say that France and Belgium would face each other on that side of the round of 16 table and that France would win and go on to the final. So I've absolutely smashed it on that side of things. Of course, prediction god. Even though I totally flip-flopped and said that Belgium would end up winning later on, let's just write that off. That didn't happen. Don't worry. But France go through to the final and they will be facing Croatia after they defeated England 2-1 in extra time. And England, look, I've got one thing to say. I'm going to be brutal, but I'm going to be honest, okay? You blew it. You blew it! You said football was coming home, you had it on a plate, and you couldn't deliver.
Son of a bitch, Paul, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
I'm sorry, but it is time for an England rant. And just so you know how seriously I'm taking this, I'm literally standing up for this. I'm going to get animated. Okay, England, let's have a little one-on-one, all right? Let's have a quick chat. You started the game like a house on fire against Croatia. You won a free kick within 5 minutes. It was absolutely brilliant. Kieran Trippier steps up and delivers in the first 5 minutes of the game a peach of a free kick. David Beckham-esque into the top right-hand corner. Not exactly up where the Spiders live, but still absolutely no chance for Subasic. But can you please explain what the hell happened for the rest of that first half? You had way too many opportunities in that first half to just kill the game off and to make it 2-0. And I swear, in a World Cup semi-final, when you're 2-0 up going into halftime, I'm probably pretty sure you're going to go on and win that game. They were just so frustratingly wasteful to watch in that first half. I can think of many chances, but the one standout would have to be Harry Kane's. He gets slipped in through beautifully. He's literally one-on-one with the keeper. If he had some vision, he would have seen Sterling to his right in open space, could have squared it to him for a tap-in. England are 2-0 up, totally changes the game, and we're probably talking about England in the World Cup final. But no, unfortunately, he doesn't go to Sterling. He goes for goal himself. It gets saved. It comes back to him. All he has to do is cut in on his right foot and smash it. He's about this far away from the goal, manages to hit the post, and it's still 1-0 for England. Someone clearly forgot to mention to Harry Kane that it was a Wednesday, because he's never scored a goal for England on a Wednesday. You think that's stupid, but from the way he played, I think people might be onto something. And I'm not going to go too harsh on Harry Kane here either, because let's be honest, the service that he was getting for the majority of the game was garbage as well, even though when he did get the ball, he was quite lackluster. And as we would all eventually go on to find out, of course, England not being able to put away their chances and being so wasteful in the first half would come back to bite them. From the second half onward, and even more so, especially in extra time, Croatia just dominated the game and gave England absolutely no freedom on the ball and pressed them into oblivion. And this is a Croatian team that's definitely a lot older than the English national team, so you'd imagine they wouldn't be as fit, and at the same time, especially not as fresh. They had played extra time every single knockout game and actually played their game even later. They had less rest than England. It was so written for England to take control in that extra time period, but they couldn't even do that. I know that Perisic was the man of the match in that game, but can we just talk about Modric really quietly as well? He's a Champions League winner and maybe going to potentially be a World Cup winner if it goes their way in the final. Are we talking about a potential Ballon d'Or winner here? The first since Lionel Messi and Ronaldo first went on their insane streak? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's just get back on track, okay? This is meant to be an England rant. Yes, I do want to praise Croatia because they were phenomenal. They were brilliant. They are a team that no one expected to make the World Cup final, a population of just 4 million, and they've done it. Hats off to bloody Croatia. But England, I'm sure you already know this, but let me just remind you, this was your time. You were the story. Croatia were not the story. England was the story. This was your moment. You were given the easiest run to a FIFA World Cup final maybe ever. Maybe to rival Germany in 2002, but still one of the easiest of all time. You had Panama and Tunisia in your group who you swept aside, even though you did batter Tunisia, but you only got it done toward the end of the game. We won't talk about the Belgian game because you played your B-side, they played their B-side, and in the end, you losing that game actually worked perfectly. It put you on what was absolutely the inferior side of the round of 16 bracket. You faced a Colombia side that was missing its best player and was anything far from world class. They were a good team, but a team that took you all the way to penalties, which, to your credit, fair play, you finally won one in a World Cup. And then you got Sweden in the quarterfinals, swept them aside, Croatia to get to a World Cup final. Now, again, we all know now that Croatia is brilliant, but who before this World Cup started said that they were ever going to get anywhere near the World Cup final? It was determined that Croatia had a 3% chance of winning the World Cup before the tournament started. You hadn't played a single really good side for this entire World Cup until you got to the semi-finals of the competition, and then you bottle it. The draw opened up so well for you. Everything was working out so nicely for you. You had Croatia to get past to make it to a World Cup final. You scored within 5 minutes, you were on top for the first half, but you still couldn't do it. You normally have to play at least one or two teams that are sort of somewhat favoured to maybe win the World Cup in order to actually make it to the final itself, most of the time. You didn't have to play a single one. And I genuinely do believe that if you did get past Croatia and make it to the final, even though France were a good side, I would have backed you. I 100% would have said England would have won. I genuinely thought this was your time. But now, I'm sorry, alright? I actually do genuinely maybe want to see England win the World Cup at least one point in my lifetime. The only thing that could give you maybe a little bit of hope is that the majority of your key players are relatively young. They're in their mid to early 20s, so maybe they'll be hitting that late 20s bracket, that 27, 28, 29 period where players are at their peak. So maybe that sort of level, that age bracket, that experience level is probably maybe going to help you out in 2022. That's hopefully going to help you out in 2022, but you can forget ever getting a run to a World Cup final like this ever again. A run this easy and this fortunate may never happen again to any nation, let alone England. This was your moment and you let it slip. You said it was coming home, boys. I tell you what, absolute rubbish. But we are left with two teams in the World Cup final. One we probably expected to make it, one we certainly did not expect to make it. France versus Croatia. In this insane World Cup where so many teams have gone out so early, so many great sides and so many nations have gone so far, like Croatia to make the final. Honestly, everyone knew that they were maybe not even a dark horse. Like, they were considered good, but surely no shot of making it this far. Croatia all tournament long have shown they're bloody decent and they are prime and ready to maybe pull off one of the biggest World Cup upsets of all time. And France started the tournament a little bit slow, a little sloppy, but they certainly have kicked into gear now for sure. I think if we're just looking at the teams on paper, then you've obviously got a little bit of a overall gap in quality when it comes to France v Croatia. I mean, Croatia have got their star players in a solid midfield, but hell, France have got amazing players in literally every department, and they've got some truly world-class players like Griezmann and especially Mbappe. I guess after all that I've done throughout the knockout stages, where I've updated my predictions again and again and again, and I've continued to change who I think is winning the World Cup final, I think at the end of it all, I'm going to end up reverting right back where I started. I predicted France to win the World Cup final when I first made my prediction before the tournament started. And I think I'm going to end up back at France once again. In a World Cup which no one is safe. So many shock results. Who knows? Croatia could just do it. But am I really gonna say Croatia's gonna beat France in a final? I just can't. I know this World Cup's been insane and anything could happen, but I'm not. I'm going to say France. Let's go. France, Allez les Bleus. I'm just hoping for a real memorable final. I mean, most World Cup finals are, to be fair, but I'm talking something top tier. Like one of the best finals of all time. Because if we do get that, then I think then we can absolutely just tick this off as the best World Cup of all time. But that will do it for this one, everybody. I am the MasterBucks, your prediction god. I can't wait to do a massive recap of the entire World Cup as well. When the final is finished, when we crown a champion, I'm going to do a huge recap for everything, and it's going to be awesome. Make sure you subscribe for it, of course. Many more videos coming soon, especially one video that a lot of you have been asking for. Not saying any more than that. Till the next time, guys, my name is MasterBucks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good one.